And in the upper left, in the red, he's playing for Talon. It's Dark. Upper right, in the blue, in this storied matchup, he's playing for Dragon Kaitsa Gaming. Put your hands together. His name is herO. I mean, I guess metaphorical hands, because it's not like anyone can actually hear what's happening. It's not like Dark's gonna be able to hear the fact that you're going and clapping for him. So put your metaphorical hands together, you know. I don't know, spam something in chat. For now though, Dark third base on the way. We got that little spawning. I mean, this is very standard. There's not a lot to talk about in the early game, but Ghost River in general is a map that's weird. Actually, a lot of the maps are in the new pool are weird, and quite frankly, I love it. We've had a time where like every map in the pool is very similar, and it's like, well, I get this. These are the games the pros want to play on. Sure, fine. I understand the pros are going to say, give me the map that reduce variance as much as possible. If I'm a good player, I want to be able to practice like one thing really tightly and consistently and do things and win the game. And variance within the pool of variance season over season means you have to practice more things. It makes it harder to kind of win consistently. Sure, fine, I get that, but it's also horrible for the game. You know, we had pools where, like, man, probably back when we had a 7-map pool, I don't know, 6 out of the 7 maps were all pretty much identical, different skins, but same idea. You know, easy four bases, blah blah blah. You know, high ground, low ground, yeah, all that. So the fact that we have now started, I mean, since ESL has started to get us, we don't have maps, you know, as consistently as we used to, but the fact that ESL has started to move in this direction of, we should have some weird maps. Part of that was a 9-map pool, was a big deal, actually. It's far more than people give it credit for in terms of enabling things. As now Adept shows up at the natural, but 2 Lings show up on the other side of the map. herO, nothing in the wall. Name a more iconic duo. I don't know that there is one, but he's gonna be fine, right? Probes have to get pulled away. 2 Lings doesn't lose anything, and it's granted, that's not even a full wall right now, anyways. So whatever. But I love that herO on some maps, he actively goes and baits his opponent into busting him. We saw this happen in the GSL against Raynor, I think it was, actually. Maybe it was against, no, it was against Stu. We saw him go and put a pylon in the wall and say, this is great, I'm gonna go for this thing. And Stu tried to go for a Ling Bane bust, and herO is just so well set up, so experienced in defending against these things, where it's like, yeah, okay, Stu, fine, you got bopped, you got annihilated. Now Lings are going to shark around, but this time there are Adepts here. There's a Void Ray out, which Dark's going to try to pull his Overlord away pretty quickly, but this Overlord will go down. Generally, if you think you can get 2 Overlords, a Void Ray is worth it. For 1, it's not really. And Dark's pulling his Void. Yeah, I don't think this Overlord should go down. I mean, that's a decent amount of Lings, but, well, only 1 Adept here actually in the setup. Probe goes down very quickly, so these Lings, they're going to get the pylon, I think, very nicely. That okay, no, they're gonna force the Oracle back home. There is an Oracle on the map, so the pylon doesn't go down, but does force things back home. And what this all does, more than anything else, it buys time. It allows Dark to get his Overlords back home. It means he's not gonna get supply blocked. It means he's not gonna lose a bunch of money to the Oracles, to the Overlords, excuse me. And you know, while Creep's getting shut down just a little bit, totally fine. Adept's shading into the natural, but there are too many Lings. So because herO went Void Ray into double Oracle, this is kind of a cool idea. As I'm looking at what he's going for right now, he's using this as a straight up fighting force, pressuring on the edge of Creep. He's kind of treating this like Hellion Reaper. You wouldn't in a TVZ, where you just have these units on the map. They sit on the edge of Creep. They try to poke. Of course, Adepts can run past Creep. That makes life a little bit easier with a shade if the Lings aren't on top of things. But you would just deny Creep as much as you can. But I think herO would try to deny that Creep teamer, but he's just not, I guess, A-clicked properly. But okay, there we go. There's another Overlord. So 2 Overlords are now dead. We talked about that being the magic number. Sees a 4th base on the way. If Adepts and a Void Ray can, yeah, this 4th base is not going to be allowed to stay up. So let's see, what do we got here? No, not a lot of, you know, regular economic. Well, I guess the 4th base is going to be allowed to get up after all. So these Adepts will finally go down, but a lot of Lings die in the exchange. And economic damage being done elsewhere. 5 workers go down to the oracles. So this is where hero thrives in insanity, and this is kind of why I'm like, I was looking at that game 2 against Classic. I'm like, oh well, okay, it's got to be hero favorite, right? The game's getting weird, but Classic was able to make the insanity work for him. He won game 2 before losing his prism and falling in game number 3. But this is where hero thrives, right? He goes and there's a 4th base. He's like, oh well, okay, I can put pressure on the 4th base. I can force a Ling fight. I can go and dive in and get a couple workers here and make some value happen. I can get an overlord, and you know, 5 workers, not insane, but 29 lings is actually pretty significant here. That's a lot of lings. You know, 30 lings is 15 drones. It's not fair to say that's a 1-to-1 because you're building some of those lings anyways, but hero has substantively held Dark's economy back. We can see that right now. He's got a 4th base. Sure, it's done. Lyra's only just now about halfway done here. The +1 lings, they're done. Certainly Stalkers, they'll find this corner. And this is so hard for the lings to get surface area. This is just such a nice position for the Stalkers to fight into. Lings are trying to find their way down the ramp, absolutely. But Stalkers, once they lose their shields, they blink backwards. And now 6 Stalkers on the way here. Yeah, +1's a ways away, but this blink timing coming out of hero is so very powerful with the Void Ray, just a little bit more damage on the top. Oracles, they can drop, at this point they're dropping stasis traps, and there are shield batteries on the way as well. So that's a massive stasis right in time. So many lings go down, and yeah, Stalker died. I think the Void Ray died as well. The longer this goes on, we're going to see shield batteries, so the Stalkers are going to be able to heal up anymore. Queens are starting to go down. Hero doesn't really have to worry about the lings at the moment because, well, there's a stasis trap right there. Eventually he's going to have to worry about it on this round, but Stalker's already well set up for this, and that just means more units will fall. This out, I mean, this is all in out of Hero. It's on 3 bases, but it's only on 52 probes, and he's not mining gas out of the 3rd base. This is a pretty cool setup. Bailey's are going to just try to bust down all the, I mean, static defense. What do you want to call it? All the pylons, all the shield batteries. They're still there for the most part. Stalker's handling this very nicely. Dark is just kind of dead. At this point, he is very dead. He's building more lings. All the banelings are gone. Bye-bye. Dark falls down, and hero, really cool game 1. Takes a 1-0 lead. One thing we didn't talk about, though, as we got into this best of 5, was these players head-to-head, and they play a lot. Hero wins the majority of them. Aligalac thinks this is a 3-0 with a 1-0 lead. I don't know that it's a 3-0, but again, this is one of those things we talked about it. Aligalac is not meant to say, well, we think it's a 3-0, so it's going to be a 3-0. It's, you know, given this state, given hero is in a 1-0 against Dark in a 1,000 games, you know, 40% of them maybe are going to be a 3-0. 35% of them, 28% of them are going to be a 3-0, and that's the most common outcome out of all the perspective, you know, 3-0, 3-1, 3-2, 2-3, 1-3, 0-3, right? In terms of like all the perspective potential score lines, 3-0 is like the most common out of all these kind of simulations. So that's what we're looking at as, I mean, there's an ugly wall at a hero. That's a lot of surface area on that gateway, but Dark's not going for it. There's no 12 pool, and in general, 12 pools are pretty heavily fallen out of the meta for the time being. They may come back. But in part, you know, top level Protoss players have just become so good at handling the 12 pool, at pulling their probes properly, getting their zealots out, like just doing what they need to do, where more often than not, because it was in the meta for quite a while, it just doesn't feel like it's ever really worth it. So yeah, Dark, he's able to get the, actually that's a fairly nice deal. He's able to get his natural down at the natural. I didn't quite pay attention. This might have been a 15 hatch. I don't know exactly what he did. Maybe he just was late on the scout. I wasn't paying attention in the early game. Regardless, Dark's got his natural down at the natural, which is actually a really big deal. You save a lot of money by doing that. It makes it a lot harder for adepts to cause problems, certainly. But I guess the first question we ask ourselves is, we get into this game number 2 and hero, of course he's opening Stargate. That kind of is the only way to, and we see some robo openers, but in general, you want to open up Stargate. It gives you the most flexibility. I was going to say, like, do we get an Overlord or do we get a Void Ray in this game 2? We did in game 1. It got 2 Overlords. It found value for itself. But generally, right, you want Oracles out quick as possible. You want them, they can kill workers. They're getting triple Oracle. I think in a kind of, we talked about over the span of 1,000 games. All right. Average result, or the most common result of all outcomes is 3-0. Over 1,000 games, I think one would argue that triple Oracle gets more damage done in the hands of hero on average than, say, Void Ray double Oracle, something like that, like we saw him do last game. Like, you can throw it out there and it's not bad, but I like triple Oracle just a little bit more. It gives you that offensive power, defensive power. It kills drones faster, kills lings faster. And yeah, you know, it doesn't fire permanently. It doesn't have Overlord killing power. That is always true. But I love how active we're seeing Hero be. I mean, this has been kind of a consistent thing where he's going and he's getting these Adepts out early. He's getting these Oracles out early. And he's just playing on the edge of creep. And he's playing it a lot like a historical TVZ would be, right? Where, again, you're just, can I knock down some creep timbers? That'd be great. Can I put some pressure on? I'm going to force units out. This is all just tiny bits of value that Hero's able to find. And behind this, by the way, we talked about the triple Oracle. He's only on 2. I really expected to see him add the 3rd Oracle in, but he's just going on. He's getting the quicker Twilight out of this, the quicker Forge out of this by skipping that 3rd Oracle. And because he's putting pressure on the map, he doesn't really have to worry about attacks on the other side because he's got this 2 Adept, 2 Oracle set up. And, you know, even if Lings go and try to run down the ramp and deal with this. With the Oracles as they are, plenty of energy. Yeah, so it looks like we got a little bit of lag. I noticed a tiny bit of stutter. I know that we had this in a previous series, and it was one of our commentators had to leave. So we're gonna. All right, so some people are leaving. We'll see what happens. Our French caster TKL has to pop out. Sad. But not bad, can't do it. Okay. So anyway, what I was talking about with Hero being as aggressive on the map as he is, it's really hard for Dark to go kind of counterattack onto the 3rd base. So Hero, again, he's kind of probing. Well, he's kind of cut probes for the moment because he's supply blocked. But I'm really curious to see if he takes gas on the 3rd. That really is going to be the question. Or whether he just kind of turns this into another timing like we saw in game number 1. It worked out really well for him. And it's a little different, obviously. This is blink and +1 on the same timing. That was it wasn't a insanely fast blink that we saw from Hero in the first game where just very much it had you have ways out of it, right? But it very much was a 6-gate blink timing was the name of the game, as these Oracles are going to deny the 4th base. I love it. I hate it if I'm Dark, but this is one of the upsides. Hero has not gotten a lot of economic damage done. He didn't really kill a lot of workers. He's killed exactly 1. He's killed very little in this game, but because of that, these Oracles have an insane amount of energy. They have so much energy, and what that means is they can kill a 4th base super easily. So 4th base gets canceled. Dark's going to try to take one. He's thinking about it on the bottom side, but not really going to get it for now. His creeps actually, he's doing a really nice job of delaying that. And with Queen Series, he's not going to cancel the 4th base, but he knows where it is. That's a big deal. And also, well, Stalkers are warping in. What do we got? We're on 4 gateways. We're going up to 6 gateways soon. This timing out of Hero once again, because he's delayed the 4th base, is already somewhat scary. Dark actually, very heavily supply blocked. 114 out of 114. 5 Overlords on the way. Generally, in this build, your 4th base would be finishing right now. That would alleviate the supply block because it's a problem. 4th base goes down once again. Overlord. Stalkers are going to knock that thing down. Dark not supply blocked because he got a lot of Overlords on the other side, but denying the 4th base is great. 4th base trying to go down. What? This is dead. Absolutely not here, Dark. You're not. This is not allowed. Once again, we'll go down, and what a cool use of the Oracles, right? Hero generally would want to go kill 8 to 10 workers, 10 to 12 workers, or 8 to 10 workers, probably a fair number with his Oracles and get damage done that way. Instead, he's only killed like 3 workers technically, but he's denied the 4th base 3 times. Is he gonna get it again? It doesn't have the energy for it. Okay, but he needs these Oracles back home anyways, because there are a lot of Banelings trundling onto the other side of the map. This is a lot of Stalkers, though. Banelings against Stalkers, really not the best. The Banelings, though, they're just going to try to shut down static defense as well as they can. Baneling speed done right now. There's a massive all-in coming out of Dark, but he needs to win the game with it. That is absolutely true. Banelings into the mineral line. Probes are going to get pulled into this because, again, if Hero holds this fight, he wins the game. That is absolutely... He can afford to lose a couple workers if he wins the game. That Baneling connection to the end, though, knocks down a ton of the Stalkers, but I mean, Stalkers now behind a wall here. Only 4 probes have gone down. Now they're starting to find their way into the mineral line with +1, but +1's done for Dark. This is not going to work at all here. Nicely held out of hero. And now Dark, he's fighting into +2 attack. Charge is done. He's building more lings. Workers are cut for this. Yeah, there's a 4th base on the way, but it's a macro hatch. Now that blink from hero was a little bit less wise. Hero has a blink problem, and he's going to blink regardless of whether it's a good idea or not. So he will lose a couple more Stalkers than he would otherwise like. This is kind of awkward here, but he's got Stalkers on the backside getting on top of these roaches. Lings will be dealt with at the end of things. And yeah, it was a little dicey there from hero. Lost a little bit more than he should have. Hero's fine. Hero's in a wonderful spot here. 68 workers, fully saturated on 3 bases. He could get a 4th base if he wants, but why do that? Prism on the way. +1 armor is going to be done soon. He's got +2 attack. Charge is done. Yes, you look at this, you say, oh, look, 68 army supply to 47. That's a big difference. Dark's got a big army. He does. But the quality of this army is just not there. Not really. And I'm not going to say hero's going to win the game with this army. I'm not going to say he's going to punch through and take the 4th base down again and just win the game. And in fact, he's not going to. There's a 4th base on the way. But he can put a lot of pressure on the map. Make life very complicated for Dark. Extremely complicated for Dark. And well, Dark, he understands that is very much the case. So 28 banelings on the way, and these are not really being built in an aggressive. He may decide to get aggressive with them, and I wouldn't hate it, but they're not being built in an aggressive position. Well, there we go. Okay, flooding across the map here once again. Dark 160 supply, 140 for hero, just about. He's got double Colossus on the way. If he can get up to that, it's going to be incredible. Double Colossus. You know, honestly, buying the time to get up to double Colossus, it's worth giving up your 4th base. I think that's a pretty fair argument as now Bailey continue to run on forward. You know, last time we talked about how, nice Stalker Warping right there. Makes it really hard for the Bailings to get connections to that. They want Colossus are going to be done very soon. Bailings into the mineral line. Not a lot of damage done. Once again, +2's not done here. And even still, +2 doesn't one-shot workers. 11 probes go down. Absolutely. And the 3rd base gets canceled. It does. Well, the Colossus are on the map right now. 2-1 done. 2 Colossus on the map. This army from hero is insanely good against what Dark has. And Dark doesn't have a transition. Not really. He's got an infestation pit on the way, but what you see is what you get for quite a while. Now, hero doesn't have to go all in with this, or doesn't have to go across the map with this. Seems like he doesn't want to. He's like, I'd rather just let Dark beat into me. I think that's fair. He's got vision everywhere on the map. He's like, yeah, Dark, you're going to have to attack. Again, you haven't got enough. Again, yes, I'm only on 60 probes, but that is full 3 base saturation given half the mineral patches in the main base are mined out. So he's got full saturation for the setup that he has. We're going to start 4th base on the way, so he's going to start to probe that up eventually. Extended Thermal Lance is going to be done soon. +3 attack's going to be done soon. This army from Dark, technically it can be scary, sure. But not against what hero has. I mean, it's going to be a hard fight for Dark to take as we move forward here. More Stalkers are going to warp in. Creep tumors. Okay, so there's no observer in this army. You need oracles to serve as detection, not creep down. And this is where life gets very scary. We talk about, oh, this army is incredibly good. And it is. Bailey's going to try to find the 3rd base. Probes have to get pulled into this just to maybe get some better trades. And the full surround, this is what we're worried about here. Full surround. Everything. Colossus are just microing into everything. They're going down. Wait a minute here. Wait a minute here. Hero, have you overstepped in a massive way? 15 probes go down. Stalkers on the right side kind of win the fight, sure, but 3 Colossus die. Yeah, hero saves 1. Was that enough? Actually, really big question. It's only 15 supply lead for Dark at this point. Lings are continuing to rally in. There's no more Banelings available here. Colossus, as long as it's alive, it's firing. Gonna pick up once again, microing away, massive stasis trap. And the Stalkers here, these are +3 Stalkers. They're shredding things. Is it enough? A really important question. Hero, though, 45 workers, not a lot of economy behind the Stalkers continue to go down. Force fields on the Sentry is just buying more time, trying to buy more positioning. And I don't think hero can break through. Lings on the backside. Now the stasis trap is done. This Colossus cannot fight. Lings kill it off. And yeah, hero stepping on a creep like that. He didn't have to go all in. He decided to anyways. And he got bopped on both sides. Hero is very dead in this game now. Yes, he's got a 4th base. Sure. 45 workers. He has no tech in the army. Vipers are getting added in. hero was in a wonderful spot to win this game. Like, truly well set up to win this game. And instead, it all went wrong. It all went wrong. So hero's going to try to fight his way back into it. And I do like the addition of disruptors instead of moving back into Colossus. Disruptors against roaches are great. And more importantly, they build faster. You can build more of them. So you do have that opportunity. So I just... I like what hero's doing, right? The random adept harass is fantastic. Yeah, gets a couple workers. Great. Let's look at the supply, guys. Like, that's what matters here. Dark has Vipers. He's got +3 attack for his melee units on the way, so he's going to be able to one-shot probes after that, certainly. He's got Vipers. Again, he's got Adrenal. Like, the setup that Dark has, hero's going to need the most miraculous disruptor shots we've ever seen. In a significant way. And yeah, you know, Adepts are slowing his economy down a little bit. Sure, fine. Hero's on 4 bases now. Sure. He's on 58 probes. He's been kind of sneaking probes in when he can, but 75 to 116. I guess the one thing that Hero has going for himself is that Dark isn't really progressing his tech. He's getting more upgrades. He's got these. Oh, he could have sniped the Viper. Maybe he's not going to get it. Oh, Viper goes down. Number 1 goes down. Parasitic Bomb does mean this Prism will fall. There's no saving it. There's not enough HP. No shield battery in time. But getting the Viper down is a big deal. Surround from the backside. Disruptors are not well positioned to handle that one. Now, Blinding Cloud is a thing. Stalkers aren't really going to get hindered by that one, but Banelings, they don't care. They're going to run, crash on through, knock everything down. Dark, he won the game 5 minutes ago, but he secures it right here. And we're all tied up in this best of 5. Moving on to game 3. I think Hero was in a really good position in that game too at multiple times, but moving on to Creep. Moving on to Creep. Asking for a full surround while you get counterattacked. It's like Hero had to win one of those. He had to either take no damage from the counterattack or win the fight really hard on the other side. And instead, his Baneling, his Colossus just kind of microed into a bunch of Banes and died. Ideally, what you're doing with all that, with your kind of you're playing that Blink Stalker Colossus setup, is your Stalkers are bodyguards for the Colossus, and you kind of keep the Colossus at the center of the Stalker ball. Is how that would ideally go, and then Banelings go down and Force Fields wall things off, and it's just this really kind of regimented defense. But the Colossus were all off to a side, Stalkers blinked right, and everything died. And it was just really never going to be enough. Like, maybe if he'd taken less damage in the 4th and final Colossus, and then the Lings get diving on top of it, don't kill them as much. I don't know. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Certainly, though, this is a bait from Hero. Dark, probably not gonna fall for it, but that Pollen in the wall is a bait and a half. We're gonna have to see what exactly happens, but it's kind of funny. Hero at this point is like, yeah, okay, I can get a more efficient wall. I can go and make this happen. And well, if you Baneling bust me, I just know how to handle it, and you're gonna die, Sue. And if you don't, well, I just get a more efficient wall and you can't get in. It's hard. So I love that from Hero. It's rather cheeky. And already he's like, so he knows the time. He's like, okay, if there's a Baneling bust, it could be happening right now, which means I got to drop my second pylon. I need it anyways. So I'm going to put it here in the natural so you can't kill the pylon and depower me. It's fine. It is a-okay. I'm in a great spot. Ling's on the other side of the map. They're going to maybe try to contest this pylon or contest the third base. Actually, they want to contest the third base. But the Oracle's here with a Depths out on position. Yeah, no. Hero not taking any damage from this thing early on, but we don't expect him to, all right? We don't expect Dark to get anything done. And, you know, it's kind of one of those things, right? In a lot of ZVZ, for example, you got to build the Lings, you got to build the Banes, but at the highest level, it's not really going to do anything. Ooh, forcing a cancel right there. Drone goes down. I like that from Dark. There's like, okay, there's Oracle on top of the base. It doesn't really make sense for me to go to let this drone complete. It's just going to die. So I'm going to cancel it. Yeah, it's a little inefficient, but better than losing a drone. Even still, though, 3 drones and a cancel. So maybe, you know, he gets the money back for it, but it denies that 4th drone a little bit as well. For the first Oracle, it's really nice, actually. That's a lot more than you expect to get. And now that first Oracle taking a decent amount of damage, so headed right back home where it can just be defensive and do whatever it wants. And now 2 Oracles on the other side where there are more drones. Not gonna get anything right there, but diving into the mineral line, more economic damage done. And Dark not gonna fall victim to the Polish Gambit. He does have spores in the mineral lines, but that means losing these 7-8 workers, that much more painful. Okay, you lose 8 workers and you go for the Polish Gambit. Okay, sucks, but okay, whatever. 8 workers, but you didn't buy the drone, you didn't buy the spores, but each spore costs about 2 drones, right? You got to spend 1, and then it's 75 minerals, so really closer to 3 drones. I know you can't make a 1-to-1 comparison, but you say 3 drones. So it is a building spores like this does kind of slow your economy down quite a bit. As this Oracle running right over top of Queens, but it will knock creep tumors down, which I love how active hero's been with his Oracles in this series in terms of shutting down map control that the Zerg might want to have. Not just say, oh, I got a lot of workers, which he did. He got 8 workers. That's great. But also shutting down, say, creep. Shutting down, forcing more links out early on. Like, all of these things are really, really nice for hero. And Dark's doing the same thing he did in game 2. It's long and short of it. +1 melee, roach speed, Banling Nest. Probably going to try to hit maybe like a 150 supply timing or so. And hero adapting. He's doing the max packs thing. Or maybe max packs picked it up from him. I'm not totally sure, but sure, +1 blink, but there's a Temple Archive on the way behind this. Hero is going to have a tech transition, and if he can get to Storm Archon before this attack properly happens, before everything properly happens, well, Storm Archon against a big Roachling Bane timing is just not good. It doesn't work at all. So Storm's on the way. High Templar being warped in, 4 of them. So that's going to be 4 Storms if Storm gets out in time. And if not, well, you can build Archons, and it's a bit inefficient. But, well, it's a bit inefficient to morph these High Templar into Archons. But even still, Storm should complete. Creep is getting shut down here. Hero has a full understanding of everything. More shield batteries on the way. He is well set up for this. And Dark, he does have a transition behind this, right? This is not just, hey, I'm going for a timing, and I'm going to go for very delayed everything else. That actually is a massive scout. So Dark, he might not decide to go for this after all. Hive's on the way. Hydra Den's on the way. He's going to go for a lot of lurkers pretty quickly into this game. And this feels more like a feint now. He's not going to be building... He's building more lings, certainly. But this feels more like a fake than anything else because he knows they're High Templar on the map, which means Storm is going to be done soon. And if Storm is done soon, then there's no point to attack into this. There's like a 5% chance that something's going to work out properly. And yeah, this is dicey. So let's see. Stalkers here. They're going to not shut down... They're going to shut down more creep. Again, that's pretty important. But we're all looking at... Suddenly the timing that we're paying attention to in this game is not now. But it's like 4 minutes from now. Maybe 3 when... Dark has his Lurker Den, or his Lurker Den's done, but he's got his high, he's got all these Lurker upgrades. Although Hero wants to move right now, he's trying to cut Dark up at the knees before the timing is ready. It's a decent surround on the way coming out of Dark, but High Templar, again, playing pretty far backwards. Storms are okay, Banelings don't get the connections that they need. Now 1 Archon's on the way, but even still, this is a little bit dicey. Stalkers are going to have to go back home, back around. I mean, they got good position, right? Behind the mineral line, they can blink onto the low ground when they need to. It was a good shutdown from Dark. Really was a good shutdown from Dark. And without a prism, there's no reinforcement. So High Templar died. 15 Stalkers died. I thought the Storms were going to be a little bit better than they were, but Banelings do crash in at the end, and that means the High Templar did go down. I don't know that we got our full complement of Storms actually, and certainly we didn't see the Archon as well. So that just got shut down. And now do we have Lurker range? No, we don't. But we're going. Oh. This is an aggressive Dark here. He's going Lurker speed before range. That's actually a pretty big thing because that means that Dark wants to get aggressive on the map pretty quickly. Good stasis traps, certainly. The Stalkers have to run away. Big surround on some of the Stalkers before they're able to blink out. And look at the position. Look at that positioning out of Dark. It's so sick. Half the lings go off. They're not even fighting. Their job was just to go to make sure that they're going to be where the Stalkers were going to be when they blink. And that means that he kills a couple more Stalkers than he otherwise would. Banelings get connections on the High Templar, but shield battery means they don't die. But these trades have been so good for Dark this game. Dark has traded better than hero in this game. And that means that these lurkers, they're going to be terrifying. This attack coming out of Dark pretty soon as he maxes out, as he gets seismic spine, but certainly he's just lurker unbur rebur up. He's got lurker speed right now as he moves out on the map here. This is a damn hard army for hero to fight. He doesn't have any robotech. Sure, you have oracles, you have that detection available, but lurkers, they shred stalkers here. Hero's blinks are just, where are the blinks, hero? They're just not there in time. Storms, yeah, they do damage to lurkers, absolutely. They're gonna knock some of them down, but the lurker count here is still strong enough that it's hard. It's really hard, but the hydras, for the most part, they seem to have been dealt with in the first defense here from hero. Not horrible. Still looking somewhat manageable as Bailey's trying to run by, but the stasis trap has handled that one. And this lurker count, it's not insane. Of course, we don't have lurker range just yet, so there is that. Storms not hitting the lurkers, though. That's kind of the big deal, and this lurker stays alive through Revelation, so seismic spines are now done. +1 attack is going to be done soon. Zealots warp in. Another stasis trap. Okay. All the defense is gone now. And it feels like Dark just needs to bring his army together. But hero is handling this really nice. He really is handling this incredibly well for how bad this felt without losing everything on the right side. He's getting his supply up there. 2 immortals are on the way. The Banelings are finally going to make connections, but they're not going to kill a lot because, well, thank you for the change. That means the +2 Banelings no longer one-shot workers. Best change in Starcraft. Can we get our HP on the... it'd be nice to get the HP back on the... really nice to get the HP back on the Banelings, but the damage nerf definitely needed to happen. And now hero, he's at like 160 supply. He's got a ton of storms, adding in these immortals. He's got 2-2 on the ground. He's getting to a point where he can fight this army. Now, if Dark was up at like, say, 20 lurkers, okay, that's a bit more of a problem. As the Banelings come rolling in, but they're not going to get the connections that they want. On the right side either, Archons are here. Shield battery is kidding. Oh, Archons get popped very quick. I thought they might last a little longer. So Archons get popped. Certainly Lings on the other side, but a warp in here handles a lot of this. Yes, 10 probes have gone down, but a lot of dead Lings. Dark's actually down in supply. And you look at resources lost here, Dark is now the one. He's the one that's fallen behind quite a bit. Lurker falls. Hero's army on the right side is really strong. Now he's got to deal with these roaches. These 2 roaches are doing a lot more than than anything else. But Hero's up in army supply. 6 lurkers on the map. We got 5 immortals here. Stalkers going forward under the range of a... Oh, that's scary. That lurker's getting a lot of damage done. But the storms are really nice, and these immortals are here storming down everything. All the Banelings are dead. Hero has been in a really rough spot for the last 10 minutes, but I think he's just going to win the game. Immortals are really strong. Storm is really strong, and this 4th base at the very least is very dead. 5th base, 4th base, whatever. Dark's now on 4 bases. A lot of Stalkers did die, absolutely. And again, we're lacking this Prism. I don't think there's a Prism on... No, there isn't. It just... All robo build time is for these immortals. So you're lacking that. Stalkers, they eat some damage, but they kill a Hydra. The Zealots are now going to show up once again. Immortals firing on the backside, though, on these single Hydras. Really not what you want. You want them shutting down these lurkers. And, well, with that not happening, this looks like Dark is... I think he's still in a really rough spot, actually. This concave of immortals is busting everything down. Archons as well. Dark has nothing left here. Nothing to buff for the lurkers whatsoever. We're going to see... Well, we're going to see Overlords get shut down. All the Oracles are... Everything is dead. Look at that. Hero, what a comeback. Dark falls down, and we move to match point. So we saw the setup where Hero takes the damage, takes some licks, kind of throws his army in the way to the middle of the map and doesn't get a lot out of it. Was the problem. He attacked on the right side of South Delta with Storm, but with no Prism. He couldn't really position his High Templar well enough. He doesn't get all 4 storms out. He gets slammed by a 360 surround, and it's like, well, Hero, you're kind of in a rough spot now. Dark, but I guess Dark didn't transition enough. I guess he didn't get enough gas. I don't know, because he never really... That ground army is... You know, the lurkers are not great. That ground army is pretty good against lurkers, but if you can go and get up to like 20 lurkers or something, you can still fight. You can still make it happen. It can still be pretty solid. So Dark, you got to assume he's going to go for something aggressive again, because that's just how Dark plays. You know, that's just who Dark is. And I really do like the decision making from here. Okay, like, look, okay, Dark, you're going to do this. I'm going to get a quick Templar Archives. I'm going to have Storm. I'm going to be able to handle this. What I don't necessarily like was that when Dark didn't attack, hero runs across the map and tries to make something happen with it, with an army that is very good defensively, very good aggressively if you have a War Prism, but otherwise not incredibly so. I guess what he was trying to do, and he almost did. He was trying to catch Dark on transition, because Dark obviously saw that, yes, there were High Templar on the map, so very much didn't go in that. This pylon is not going to delay things for all that long. Like, let's be clear here. By about like 2 supply. Hero wants to drop a Cyber Core. He really wants to drop a Cyber Core. And with only 2 links, he's going to be able to... Oh, no, but... Oh, yeah, there's too much. He can't delay... He's not going to be able to delay this that much longer, but he is being cheeky about it, and I love that. Hero... Oh, man. He's up 1 game in this series. Now he's like, I can have some fun. Saw Helen got on the main base, but didn't really get anything. So for now, 3rd base on the way for Dark. Oracle getting started for Hero. Absolutely. No surprises there. I want to see what we're... Like, it seems like we're just going to get more of the same, right? Dark going... Getting Lings, probably, you know, getting Banelings, Roaches, whatever it is, but... Well, as I say that, sure, Link speed's done, but you need that most of the time. I think more importantly, this might be a map Dark decides to go for Roach Hydra. You have that kind of weakish 3rd position or 3rd base you can attack into as Adepts shade in. They're going to get 2 workers. They're going to... I love this Oracles as well. This is so much damage all of a sudden. 5 workers go down on the first Oracle. Adept's going to get 6, 7 drones dead before the 3rd base is even done. Dark is... Oh... You do not get that much damage done with the first Oracle Adept pair, but Dark was not ready for it. Not at all. Another Adept, not even going to go down. 7 drones. Dark briefly was down by about 13 workers or something like that in this game. This is... It's hard to understate just how much of a deal, how big of a deal it was that Hero just got that damage done with his first Oracle. Okay, you go and you get 5 drones with your paired Oracles. That's fine. Whatever. Sure, he's going to get the creep teamers too. Drones are going to go down. There's no creep for them to hide on top of. 10 dead workers here. 11. Make it 12. Make it maybe not 13 because Oracle gets low, dives back in for it. 13 workers dead. I don't want to say Dark is dead in this game because Dark is the king of low economy comebacks. But Dark feels very dead in this game. This does not feel easy for him whatsoever. And behind this, Forge Plus or Forge... or Twilight right around the same time. This is going to be a +1 blink follow-up from Hero. And again, if he can keep Dark back like this, and by getting this amount of damage done, it means that it's really hard for Dark to get any sort of attack going. He just has to go spend his... Okay, this Oracle, or this Shade in is maybe not as but even then it gets a lot of links. You take that. Because Dark has taken so much economic damage done these steps, think about Shade. Oh, they're going to complete... there we go. I don't hate it. 3 workers going down for 2 Adepts, and Oracles dive in even more. This is so much damage. This is actually insane how much this is getting. And this Oracle is still healthy. 10 more drones. Dark is very dead. 23 dead drones before 6 minutes. I can talk all we want about Dark's follow-up and yada, yada, yada. Dark is so dead in this game that it's actually insane how much damage he's taken. I don't think I've ever... Okay, I've seen it happen, but I haven't seen Hero pull this much of a coup off in quite a while. This is actually so much. So Dark building 2 additional hatcheries. This may be for... Do we have +1? No, we don't. No Evo, not even just yet. This may be for kind of a macro hatch type of setup. You may be just trying to Omega grade and say, look, I'm going to get 2 additional hatcheries, and the game has to go late if I'm going to win, but... He's on 60 drones, power to him. But he's got to pump a bunch of links to be able to make sure that he can handle this attack coming out of Hero. And Hero 4th base on the way. 2nd Forge on the way. He's got +1 done soon. Blink done soon. Those are the key timers that you really care about. And by taking this forward base, not only does this go and say, hey, I got a gold. I love to have a gold. Gold's a lot of money. It's a forward warp in position. Right? And in this game where there's no robo, whatsoever, that this is how hero classically plays the style when there's no robo. Having a forward warp in position is actually super important, because otherwise you can kind of see what happened in the last game where hero moves forward, and you know, if he had an immediate warp into the fight, he would have been fine, but he's not. So this fourth base, I think it should just die. It's gonna be really hard for Dark to be able to, I guess, the fifth base is gonna be really hard for Dark to go and properly defend this, because while the gold base is right there, it's a really close warp in position. You can just put stalkers across the map and kind of sit in it. It's not a small choke, but it's enough of a choke that kind of stalkers can play around with it. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that happen, although here it looks like he's posturing himself to get up for a fifth base very quickly. I would have liked to see some pressure out of hero. I think he's got enough damage done that he could try to end the game, or at least continue to keep Dark back home. The longer any time a game goes when one player is taking a lot of damage, you give them a chance to macro into it, they can macro into it. So hero for now looking for, you know, as much damage as he can. At the time of the Oracle, as an aggressive unit for the most part, even if it gets damaged on it, it matters less, because Dark's finally on that 80 drone economy. I think hero just waits for the 2-1 timing. 2-1 charge, probably going to be the play, but Banelings are going to be out by then. I kind of don't like this from hero. This decision to get Omega greedy, get a fourth and a fifth base in response to Dark. I mean, I feel like he wasted his chance. He can certainly still win the game, don't get me wrong, but he had this glaring window where he, with all the damage he got done, like his army was at +1 blink time. His army was so much better than what Dark had that it really did feel like he had the game won. Now it's a little bit dicier. It's Ling Bane, Stasis Trap's gonna get targeted down. Second one is beautiful. Certainly Stalkers have a bit of a position to run back into. Baneling's on the other side. Baneling run by looks like it was well handled, no damage done. So the Banelings will go down here. Stalkers hugging these Lings as they try to move forward. And again, hero's still doing a great thing. +2 is going to be done in 5 seconds. He's still handling this extremely nicely. These stasis traps are fantastic. They are really, really, really good. But, you know, technically Lings, they handle Stalkers. Banelings don't do a lot against Stalkers, certainly, but Lings handle Stalkers fairly well. That is certainly true. And Banelings, well, against Zealots are great. Dark still probably loses here. I mean, it's a bunch of Ling Bane down supply against a Protoss player that has heavy upgrades. But it does feel like hero gave Dark a little bit more room into the game, a little bit, maybe just a little bit more rope, right? But even still, 2-2 is going to be done in about 45 seconds. Adrenal's going to be done soon. I don't think it matters in this game necessarily. I think hero is just able to slowly outtrade, push through, and win, which seems to be happening. Again, that's what we talked about, that very, very close reinforcement point. But if Dark is, again, if Dark's kind of given the time here, getting up to 2-2 cracklings are very spicy against this entire army. And Dark, he's got a lot of money. He's got 5 hatches. Six is on the way. His problem's not even trays necessarily. His problem's larva, because the queens have to fight. And with, what are we looking at? We are looking at 5 queens. They're all here at the front line. They're all got tons of energy. There's just not enough injects is really the problem. Dark's 1,400 minerals and no larva to spend it with. So the supply is just falling precipitously. Dark needs more queens. He needs some ability to get the injects. It's not going to happen. Hero takes the 3-1 off of just the most insane damage in the early game that I have seen in quite a while. Hero looks so good in this matchup, and he shows it here to be a champion. EPT Korea number 227.